Good day to everyone out there in internet land. I am the jazz and blues audiophile nut, self-proclaimed that is. I decided to join in the bandwagon since a lot of people are sharing their views, their passions on YouTube, on different channels. I listen to different channels, of course, on YouTube, and I find it very entertaining because, well, it's a nice alternative to watching television. And you can watch people talking about things that you are yourself passionate about. So I said, hey, why not join in and talk about my passion, which is mainly jazz. Jazz and blues, my two favorite musical genres. Now, I was a little bit disheartened when I found out a couple of weeks ago about a survey. I don't know how scientific this survey might have been, but it was a survey, a North American survey that was trying to find out from about 1,000 people that were interviewed what their favorite musical genre was, what they listened to mostly on a day-to-day basis. And I was disheartened to find that jazz was way at the bottom of the list, even below opera. And I don't think opera is an easy to appreciate kind of music. But nevertheless, jazz was even lower on the appreciation list, which I thought was very, very sad because jazz is an incredible, a fantastic music. And if I can, by these little YouTube videos, try and initiate some people to jazz and give them the urge to listen to some jazz, or at least the sort of a little bit of curiosity to go out and start listening to a couple of jazz artists and maybe develop their tastes and start to be able to appreciate this fine music, well, then I will have achieved my goal. And it's not an easy one, boy, I'll tell you. It's not an easy one because as a well-known French jazz musician here, a French-Canadian jazz musician, I'm coming from Canada here, and at the Montreal Jazz Festival, we used to have a legendary Québécois drummer by the name of Guy Nadon, and he used to say, jazz is not an easy music to tune your ears to. It is not given to everybody to have the kind of ear to really appreciate this kind of music. You really have to listen. You know, a lot of people out there today, and it's always been that a lot of people hear music, but they don't really listen to music. And there is a big difference between hearing music and listening to music. And nevertheless, so we're going to talk jazz, we're going to talk blues. I'm going to try and present some artists and some albums that I find are particularly good and particularly good representatives of the jazz musical idiom or the blues musical idiom. Right off the bat, I got to say, if I had to choose between jazz and blues, if I had to choose just one music to listen to, I'd have to say bye-bye to the blues. And I'd say, yes, I'll listen to just jazz. So this program will be mainly about jazz and a little bit about the blues because jazz, to me, is a more satisfying music in the long term, in the long run. You can listen to the same jazz tune over and over and over and always discover some new nuance that you might have missed the last time. You might hear some stuff that some musicians are doing in the background that you didn't really notice the first couple of listens. There's always something, it's always interesting to listen, always interesting to listen to jazz, and there's always something new to discover, even though you've listened to a certain tune dozens of times already. So I'm going to try and present some albums, as I say, and sort of in my own way tell you what to listen to and why this album is great, why this artist is great, why this album is great, etc., etc. It's going to be very personal. And of course, I listen to my albums basically. I'm not going to be presenting anything on vinyl because I'm not a vinyl enthusiast per se. I was a big vinyl collector back in the 80s when I was younger. And I had a huge jazz collection on vinyl. I gave it all away to one of my friends who only listens to vinyl. I have nothing against vinyl. Let's put that out of the way right now to start off with. I have nothing against people that listen to only vinyl. Vinyl sounds great. Vinyl can sound absolutely magnificently beautiful. Has excellent sound reproduction. But, hey, this is 2019. And there's such a thing as this little baby here, you know? They're called CDs. They're still around. They still exist. And they sound really, really good. They do reproduce hi-fi music very well. If they're well remastered. If they're well mastered. And first of all, if the original recording was well done to start off with. and then if the mastering for a CD was also well done. If it wasn't well done, well, then it'll sound like crap. And it's the same thing for records, even on vinyl. You'll have some vinyls that are very poorly mastered that sound like crap because they were badly recorded often to start off with. Anyway, so the other medium which I listened on also to music on top of the CD is, well, on little USB keys, because you can purchase high quality digital audio files from different websites now. And for convenience, it's fantastic. You can put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of songs on one little USB stick like that. And for convenience, it's fantastic. You can take it wherever you want. You can stick it in your car and listen to some music on the go. And you have hundreds of albums sometimes on one of those sticks, depending on the size that you choose to buy. So yes, we are in the digital age. And yeah, music is analog. I know music always comes out analog, but hey, this is the digital age of analog, if such a thing can be said. So, and I think there's a lot to be said positively about digital. I mean, a lot of people have criticized digital for being an inferior medium. I think that's all wrong. I think that's false. I think that's a very big misconception. We'll be able to talk about it later. I'll have a program on that where we'll talk about this, and I'll tell you why I think that is, that people have this misconception, and how that can be laid to rest in some respect. Anyway, but in the meantime, this was the intro, and on the next program, we're going to go into some jazz. I'm going to present an album, and we're going to try and give you the curiosity to go out and listen to this. Now, this is the thing is, on YouTube, we cannot play, technically, from what I've read, excerpts of music, copyrighted material, and get you in a whole lot of trouble. So that is a problem. But at the same time, a lot of the albums I'll be presenting, I have found them on YouTube, and they're free to stream right off YouTube. So all you have to do, when I mention the album, is go and listen to it free of charge on YouTube. And you'll be able to know what just exactly what I'm talking about musically when I'm presenting this album. So that should solve the issue of not being able to play any music on this program. I might risk it a little later because some people are getting away with playing little 15, 20-second extracts. I don't know. We'll see as we go along. But the thing to remember is I always say to people who want to initiate themselves to jazz or any new form of music, but particularly for jazz, you need to give yourself some time. Your ears need to tune in to a different frequency, especially people who've been listening to what I call super pop and bop music for their whole life. All they've heard is boom, chicka boom music, you know? And when they listen to jazz, they go, oh my, what's that sound? More, that's not boom, chicka boom anymore, you know? And it's hard for them to adapt to this different sounding music. So you have to give your ears a little bit of time. You have to give your mind a little bit of time to adapt to this new sound. And I always say to people that tell me, oh no, I don't like jazz. It's horrible. It's too hard. That's too far out, man. I can't listen to that. Hey, there are all kinds of genres of jazz out there. And I always say there's one genre that's right for you. One or two or three genres that you will groove to and you will appreciate. But give yourself a chance. Maybe you don't like bebop jazz. Maybe you don't like hard bop. You find those a little bit too difficult. Well, maybe you like big band swing. Hey, maybe you like traditional Dixieland, traditional jazz, New Orleans style jazz. Maybe you'll like, I don't know, modal jazz. Maybe you'll like cool jazz. Maybe you'll like ragtime jazz. But there is a kind of jazz out there that you will like. There are so many genres. So don't despair. There are varied genres of jazz, and one of them, at least one, you're bound to like. So, on that note, I bid you goodbye to the internet world, and we'll see you in the next program where I will be presenting an album by the one and only, the incredible, the unpredictable, the late great jazz organist. I'm talking about none other. Jazz fans have guessed it already, the great Jimmy Smith. Until then, see you later. And jazz on.